aha, I had awareness of something that is activating my nervous system, and I want to be able to speak to it and have somebody hear it and validate it and then alter their behavior based off of something that is for me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like,
your safety matters. And
yeah.
people get to
And
make an adjustment for you.
Yeah,
Like,
that's one of
absolutely.
those things that you and I have been trying to like really actively heal together. The whole thing of like my needs matter.
Yes.
And having somebody be like,
Matters
yes.
so much.
We'll make it out and fall in love tonight.
Welcome to the podcast.
Here, yes.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the Steph and Craig show.
It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
Do you think this is a wacky theory for you?
Let's do it.
That I'm going to throw at you immediately. Do you think every day we wake up different? And what I mean by that is like it's some sort of scene in a movie where you go through and that version is thrown in the incinerator and then the new version is born every day.
I don't know about thrown in the incinerator, but I'm kind of a new day, new beginning. A lot of it. Why are you laughing at me?
Because that was like the dumbest question I ever had in the whole world. It was so terrible. It wasn't that terrible.
It wasn't that terrible. I think
Yeah.
there is like, I like new beginnings.
I'm just like, how often have we met each other?
How often have we met each other?
Many times.
Yeah.
Brand new versions of each other.
I'm taking you very serious and like,
Yeah.
I'm ready to dive into the question. And you're like, I have no sincerity behind it at all.
No.
I'm just like,
No, that's an
living-
icebreaker question.
Okay. Well,
That's a question that I'll throw at you in order to help you kind of relax into the moment and settle and kind of be in the podcast state. So then we can get into the episode today.
let me chug this a little bit more.
Chug it. Chug, chug, chug,
Oh
chug.
my goodness.
What else in your bottle today, love? What concoction
vodka?
of ADHD?
Tequila, rum. No, it's
You got some sort of flavor, I'm sure.
no, I definitely do. I have some salt.
Okay.
I have a green apple. I don't remember if it's Starburst or Jolly Rancher flavor packet
Oh, nice.
it's green apple with a Mio pineapple strawberry energy squirty.
Yeah.
So it's a cacophony of flavors. It's a concoction.
I like cacophony.
I like
It's a cacophony of flavors.
A cacophony
Yeah.
of scents and tastes and
Have we talked
smells.
about how, like, because you have such a hard time with drinking just water?
I mean,
It's not to say you don't have the ability to. Obviously, you drink water, you'll drink water.
I used to be really good at it for
Right.
a while, for a phase of life. I did. I drank gallons consistently.
Yes.
I always carried a gallon. I used to be really good at it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I
But
need
I feel like
flavor.
we've had the conversation where, like, all of the cacophony of flavors that you'll put into your
I need
water,
more than one.
I feel like that's all the ADHD thing, right? Or is it just the addiction to fruity drinks that are, multicolored because of childhood?
I don't know. I prefer my drinks to not be colored.
Yeah.
I prefer them to not have a red dye 40
Right,
and all
you
this
just
stuff.
want
So
plain
I
old water.
really avoid it as much as possible, including fake sugar. And then I'm like, and then I'm like, give me the red 40 and the Skittle flavors, please, with an
I think it might be an
unruly
addiction
amount
to.
of caffeine.
I think it might be an addiction to sugar. We were having this conversation because we've been going through.
What
like,
does sugar do? Why are you picking on sugar today?
I'm not picking on
No,
sugar. It's 'cause
probably an
we've
addiction
been-
to sugar.
We've been doing this. Obviously, we're going through a transitional period
Mm-hmm.
in our life. It's a very challenging period. Like, tune into the podcast and hear about all the grief and sadness that
Right.
we're experiencing. But on top of that, one of our coping mechanisms is eating.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky for us, we got that one in the mix.
Right?
And we have been
Are you
enjoying
calling
it.
out the fact that I can't keep chocolate out of my mouth right now?
No,
You're
because
like,
I'm in the same boat.
Do I have chocolate on my
And
teeth right now?
I'm
I was
sitting
totally
here-
having a piece of chocolate before we hit record. And I was trying so hard to just like suck on it instead of chew it so it wasn't on my teeth. So I was like,
Yeah, and now you don't have any chocolate on your teeth.
oh, hopefully.
I had the same chocolate before we recorded,
Yes.
and I didn't think twice about whether or not it was in my teeth. I hope it's not. It looks good. Does
It
look
looks good. We're
Looks
good. We're good. We are
But
chocolate
we've been enjoying sugar.
teeth free.
And I think sugar might be my Like it's a hard, like, was adrenaline and dopamine my earliest addiction, or was it sugar? Because essentially they're the same thing, just in different forms, right? But I feel like we're definitely addicted to sugar.
Do you know when your sugar addiction, like when you associated the food, the sugar with feeling better, do you like have a moment of when it clicked?
Well,
It might be hard. You don't have to talk
Let me make
about
some more
it.
sounds into the microphone.
You can say yes or no. You don't have to give me the
That was
story.
such a funny moment. Yes, I do.
I saw it. I
That's
saw
a
it
good.
click.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I do. I have a memory of. I'll just share it. It doesn't matter. It's embarrassing, but I don't need to be embarrassed about something from when I was like 6. Like, I was very young, and I looked at my dad's Playboys. It was, I think, one of the first times, or one of the first memories that I have of the first time that I looked at porn. And it was just a Playboy magazine from back in the day. As when I got done with the experience, right, I just remember feeling so sick. My stomach hurt really, really bad. And my solution to that was eating a bowl of cereal. And I ate, probably 3 or 4 bowls of cereal as a way to make myself feel better. And I did. My stomach ache went away, and I'm sure there was some, neurological thing going on in my brain too, where the shame or fear of whatever was, it's a cacophony of things going on in my body in that moment for all the different reasons. And that was my solution. And it worked. And I remembered that it worked. And I mean, I have full awareness as an adult today when I am using sugar and food. I mean, it's food, but the reality is, I'm not addicted to lettuce. I'm not addicted
Right.
to, I'm not just shoving. I'm specifically choosing foods that are rich in calcium.
Right.
Right.
So
it's
the
an
sugar
addiction to
groundwork was there.
Yeah.
But the belief, you have the moment of when the belief formed and when the connection was made.
What do you mean by the belief?
That food, that made you feel better.
Yes.
And you also tied it to feeling shameful to like something that you've done wrong. So you made yourself bad.
Yes.
And found a way to make it feel better. Even like you're 6.
Right.
There was absolutely nothing that you did wrong in that moment.
Like, what that tells me too, looking at it from a different lens, is you're like, I was 6.
Yeah.
And I think that
wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong.
But the fact that I already had food as a coping mechanism, that's not something that I was like, randomly. It was immediate. It was like, I know what's going to fix this feeling in my stomach.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat.
It's like I said, the groundwork was there.
Yeah.
The groundwork was there.
But that was already a coping mechanism for me.
Yes.
That's just the first memory that I have kind of associated with putting it all together.
Yeah, that like the belief part where the belief was formed.
Yeah.
Like you had the coping mechanisms, you had the attachments, you had the path, but then it became a belief at that moment. There was something about that brought it in to be a belief,
Yeah.
Which then, once you know what makes you feel better, once you have that belief, you have this, then that's that pattern. That's that where your go-to. I think, I'm not saying it was like the first moment, but like you had the groundwork, but it's a significant moment to where it becomes, you're like, this is what I do now.
Yes.
This is how, and it turns from a conscious choice to a subconscious reaction when you go in that space. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, because like I said, I have awareness of thinking those two things. It's like I have a problem. My belly doesn't feel good. And it wasn't because, at 6, you're 6. So I don't have language a lot of times to express, I'm sure, this process. But looking back, I can kind of understand what was going on, right? And I could tell that my belly like I might not have been able to articulate it. Like I knew that I didn't have an upset stomach because I ate something wrong. My belly didn't feel good because of shame, because of the emotion that I was experiencing. So I knew the distinction between like, oh, I'm sick, my belly doesn't feel good, versus my belly doesn't feel good because of this action and end or behavior. So I knew the distinction in my body, and I knew that food would help it.
Yeah.
I knew that that was going to be a thing that would work and that would feel better. And I mean, there's 100% chance that that bowl of cereal had sugar dumped on top of it.
Yeah.
Because that was a very common, I mean, I didn't eat cereal without a bunch of sugar. We had a sugar container that, you know,
It was just for cereal.
it was just for cereal. I mean, it wasn't, right? But that's all that we ever used it for, was pouring sugar. What is that? What's that song? Pour some sugar
Pour
on it,
some
baby.
sugar on me. Yes, little Def Leppard here. Pour some sugar on me.
What about you? It's a great question.
Yeah.
What about you? Can you think of one? And again, it's a yes or a no, or you don't have to go into it.
Well, I don't have all the details, but I have a very significant point, and I've actually been doing some work on it recently, trying to heal that, trying to like reprogram my brain in a sense.
Yeah.
I was really little. I don't know how old I was, but I know I was little, and I don't have full memory of what had happened. But there was chaos in my house. There was chaos, and I knew that I was supposed to be in bed. I was supposed to be quiet. I was supposed to like no sound whatsoever. I was like, I didn't exist anymore. I needed to be out of the way.
Yeah.
And I essentially got low blood sugar, you know, like, and I'm not hypoglycemic. Sometimes do I have low sugar episodes? Yes. But am I hypoglycemic or any of that? No, I'm not. But you know, that feeling of where you're just like, you feel like shit, you're shaky, you feel like you're going to pass out, and you're just like, oh, and I was so sick, and I was scared. I couldn't ask for help. I couldn't go. I knew that, so whatever was going on was big. So I knew I couldn't go to my parents because I didn't feel good. I knew I couldn't go to my mom because I didn't feel good. It was very much like, I don't know what to do. And they snuck out of my room and clear at the end of the kitchen. They had this cupboard that I went to, and I can still feel it. It's so old, but at the time it was like that old like desk metal, that flimsy, like kind of like sheet metal. It was like sheet metal thing in this cupboard that was very like,
Wah, 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 wah,
yeah.
wah.
And so I was like and it was painted white.
Okay.
And I was trying so hard to be careful when I opened it to not make any sound, because again, it was loud. So I knew I needed to eat something, that's what I was going for. So the framework was already there. The groundwork was already there. That food was going to make me feel better. I just didn't quite have the whole connection to it.
Yeah.
And I was scared. I was very sick, was not like feeling so terrible, but so scared, but knowing I needed something. So it was worth the risk to like sneak out of my room and go to it. And I was trying to grab the quickest thing and the quietest thing, and there was a fruit roll up. And I remember opening the fruit roll up and my hands just like shaking. And I brought it up to eat it, and I could smell it. And I just held it on my face and breathed it in, and knew, like, my body was like, I'm like, oh, this is going to make me feel better.
Wow.
Like, I knew by the scent that it was going to make me feel better.
That red dye 40 strong.
Right? I think it was just because I knew I needed the sugar, and I could smell the sugar. And I just like inhaled it, and it did. It made me feel better. I snuck back to my room and I felt better. So not only was it like eating in private, eating shamefully, being afraid, being isolated.
Right, so much secretive.
So much all of that. And then like, it's up to me to make me feel better. And then it was sugar on top of it, sugar. And it definitely made me feel better. And so I've been trying to really work on, I eat when I'm afraid, I eat when I'm scared, I eat when I'm sad.
That's what I was curious about, like where I can associate shame with my emotion that I was trying to satiate. What would be the one, that kind of stands out from your memory, if there were one? And it doesn't have to be, but
Fear, overwhelm, not knowing what to do.
Just being afraid.
Overwhelm, fear.
Sugar was going to fix
overwhelm. And it did,
Hey,
right?
you know,
Roll up for the win.
as far as coping mechanisms go,
I'm cold. I'm like shaky in here.
you know, I was going to comment, isn't that a new beautiful woolly sweater that you have on?
It is.
It sure looks amazing.
It is. It has them pockets.
Right? I think right now Woolly's got a sale going on.
Oh, do they have a sale going
where you can
on?
save upwards of 30%.
I need to get a woolly beanie.
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I also get like,
It is cold.
When-
We haven't turned on the furnace in the house.
right?
Well, we have, but it's only like 63 right now. You'll be all right.
I know what I was trying to say.
Oh, sorry.
When I get really I get cold when
Oh,
the anxiety
yeah.
starts. Like I shake. Sometimes my chin will just sit there and like,
Totally.
like I'm cold, and it's just my anxiety.
Yeah.
The nerves. I'm so like,
I hate when that happens.
yeah.
That's like one of my least favorite nervous system responses, right?
Yeah.
When I'm afraid, I will totally start like stuttering and I can't talk. And it looks like I'm trying to hold back crying, but I'm not. Like, it's not like I'm trying to be like, I'm not crying, I promise. It's just like my body's like,
Right.
I can't talk. I hate that feeling. Like the physical response that's taking place because of the nervous system sucks, but it's almost like I can feel the thing inside of my body that is just wanting to like explode completely, and I'm trying to hold it back. And in doing so, I'm like, it's interesting because I can think of a handful of times where we have been in scenarios where we have had to talk to police officers for a variety of things, and not when we were in our careers as law enforcement. And those were the two times that are coming to mind right now where that part of my nervous system started to activate. And I'm like, I literally, the last thing I need to do right now is look guilty and look like I'm, trying to have a conversation
Right.
without, lying.
Just don't yawn.
Exactly.
Where did we see that?
We were watching I think it was John Oliver.
Awesome.
He was talking about traffic stops and police officers and the things that officers will use to justify a stop, and yawning apparently in some jurisdictions.
It was so weird. It was like, if you don't look at them, you look guilty. If you look at them, you look guilty. If you yawn, you look like, what do you do?
Right.
What do you do?
Yeah. There's a whole other topic there with
Right.
police officers. But
That's
today,
not what we're getting in today.
it's kind of what we're getting into today.
Are we? Oh,
Right? Because
okay.
there's an aspect of this conversation. What it is the other day we were out door dashing. So part of what we enjoy doing in our spare time,
Just bringing you food.
right? Part of how we're paying the bills is going out and door dashing. And so we're hanging out door dashing, and we've made it fun because why not, right? If we're going to be out there doing it, then we might as well enjoy it. So we go together, and it's this whole experience where we'll just take turns. One of us will be the driver one time, and then the other person is running in and grabbing the food, and then vice versa. We'll switch back and forth. And we've kind of come up with a whole routine and a system for all of it. And when you're the driver, like, that's the beauty of it, is you're just responsible for the driving part. You don't have to worry about going in and getting the food. Anyway, if you haven't heard of DoorDash, I'm sure there's somebody listening that hasn't heard of DoorDash.
Like, what is that?
Right. It's a food delivery service. And so you literally can just order food from wherever, or groceries and different things like that.
Apparently, you can even get like stuff from the Tractor Supply store.
Right.
So,
We delivered, what was the wood chips? The
the pine
wood
chips
shavings that you would use. Yeah. So you can get pretty much anything on DoorDash and we'll deliver it. And we're hanging out. So back to, if you're the driver, you're responsible for driving. And if you're the dasher, you're responsible for the food. And like, if you're the driver, then it's just up to you, right? You just get to decide where we're going and how we get there and where to park and all these kind of different things. In theory.
In theory.
And that's kind of the rule of thumb, is like, hey, you don't got to worry about the driving. I got the driving.
Yeah, I got the driving.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, cool. I'll just focus on the food.
I'll be dashing.
And I had awareness over a couple of experiences, because we had done it enough to where I recognized when you were driving, I would get super freaked out. And truthfully, like, this is a part of the conversation that we haven't had yet, babe. Because for those listening at home who aren't present in our everyday life with us all the time, everywhere, like we are with each other, are you okay? You're looking at me like you're super scared.
Oh, no. I'm okay. I'm like, I know where you're going. We have the same I have my version of it too.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Yeah. I'm not scared. I'm just like, yeah, this brought up some shit.
I have my version of it. Interesting. So my version's not correct.
No. I didn't mean,
I'm
I
teasing.
wasn't saying in contrast to what you're saying. I have a similar experience from my point of view.
Yes.
Not,
Yeah, this whole story
like we
that we're
both
sharing
like
is
got to look at some shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's looking at what. Anyways, where was I
Back to
going?
you were saying that when
So you're the
I
driver.
was driving, it
Okay.
would scare you.
So I had awareness a couple of times where I was the passenger and I was getting really activated, and it was really hard for me to not like tell Stephanie where to drive and how to get there.
Are you one of the millions who have completely been swept up by the pickleball craze? The type of paddle you play with is a really important choice that absolutely affects your game. Element 6 pickleball paddles are perfect for the beginner or seasoned pro. Element 6 has created premium pickleball paddles. Don't be like us and just buy the first paddle you come across. Start out with an edge in your game. Start out with a lightweight, stylish. Of course, you want your paddle to look good and be USAPA approved, just in case, you want to take it competitive or professional. Element 6 was founded by two brothers, and all of their products are manufactured right here in our own backyard in Tennessee. And with a wide range of options and free shipping and returns, there's nothing to lose. Right now, you can get yours. Go to stephandcraig.co, click on the Element 6 link, and enter Steph and Craig as a promo code to save you 10% on your order. And as a bonus, Element 6 is also going to send you a free gift with every order. Get yours today, and we'll see you on the courts.
Hey, everybody, you know how we're always talking about healing together on the podcast? Well, today's episode is brought to you by a new company that's going to help you do exactly that. They're called Our Ritual. Whether you're looking to grow individually or as a couple, Our Ritual offers up personalized pathways designed by their research experts and therapists, all with the focus to help you unlock a deeper connection with yourself as well as your partner. You get full access to not just the therapist, but video exercises and other tools that are going to help you on your path. All of that for far less than regular therapy. So if you're looking for a flexible and affordable way to level up your relationship, check out Our Ritual. Their website is ourritual.com. ourritual.com. Head over to ourritual.com right now and take their quiz. This is going to help you personalize the experience so that you get the care and help that you need the most. Our Ritual offers an alternative to traditional therapy and makes it more affordable, more accessible, and a much more engaging process through their user-friendly platform. Right now, listeners of the podcast can save 20% on their first month. Simply use the code StephandCraig20 at checkout. Again, that's StephandCraig20 and save 20%. Their website, one more time, is ourritual.com. You and your relationship are worth it.
Looking for the perfect gift for somebody you love? Try looking beyond material things and get them the most unique gift possible. An unforgettable custom song from Songfinch. Songfinch lets you create an original studio quality song inspired by your own life and the people that you love. It's completely unique, personal, and it lasts forever. Songfinch walks you through a simple 4-step process to create your original song. Just tell them who the song is for, provide them some personal details, and let them know the type of song you want. Then pick your favorite Songfinch artist or get matched with one, and they'll write it, record it, and produce your custom song in just 4 to 7 days. Go to stephandcraig.co, click on the Songfinch link, and enter promo code Steph and Craig for $20 off your custom song.
And I sat with it for a while, and it dawned on me what was really happening was during the in-between times when we weren't driving. Because when we're just driving and we're following the directions of the GPS telling us where to go, right? That's not hard. Mm-hmm. But it was those in-between times when we would park somewhere. And I had awareness that because a lot of what this door dashing has been bringing up for me is my time as a police officer, because it's kind of similar-ish where I would, driving a vehicle, sitting in a vehicle for extended periods of time,
Waiting for a call.
right, responding to a location, getting out, talking to people. It's a very similar vibe. And so when I'm the driver, I drive like I would when I was a police officer. And that also meant like parking places like I would when I was a police officer. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole if the rabbit hole of where police officers choose to park their vehicles based off of all these different factors and variables, right? It's pretty extensive. And everybody's different. Every officer is different. But I had very specific things about where I would choose to park my vehicle if I'm waiting on calls, if I'm in between calls, even if I'm responding to a call. I would park my vehicle in certain areas, and all of it was based off of survival, right? It's literally just all designed to keep me safe and be able to address threat quicker. And I would implement those same parking techniques when we would be door dashing. And then I had the awareness that like you park wherever you want to park, right? Whatever makes sense in your brain. Because that's the truth of it.
You park wherever you park, whatever makes sense in your brain. I mean, that sounded a little attacking.
And I park wherever makes sense in my brain.
You're like, I park the correct way. You park like a crazy person.
One of us loads the dishwasher the right way, and the other one has no clue how to load a dishwasher.
Oh my God.
So that just dawned on me, and I was like, oh, I need to tell Steph this, because it wasn't all of this like anxiety and stress about you driving. I felt very comfortable with you driving. I just don't feel comfortable with where you're choosing to park.
Where I park.
But it's not even, because like when we're not door dashing in that setting, I don't care where you park. It's literally doesn't even occur to me. It's not something that's on my radar when you're driving and we go somewhere where you park. Whatever. Although we have done content around the parking lot at Sam's Club.
I know.
So maybe it's
like
something that's far more important.
a little bit.
Turns out this whole episode is going to be about parking.
Like, where do you park? Where do you?
It's like an Enneagram, but for parking. Depending on where you park,
Oh my
we're
goodness.
going to tell you what your personality type
Right?
is. Stay tuned for. But yesterday we were having this experience where we're out. Stephanie's driving. I'm the food getter. I'm the dasher. And I remember, oh gosh, I need to tell you this. I forgot I wanted to have this conversation with you and mention this to you, because I also realized that it caused me so much fear and anxiety, and it was helping me process and reflect back on the fear and anxiety that I experienced when I was a police officer, because that whole time period is just riddled with anxiety and fear,
Yeah.
right? I'm just in a constant state of, activation, ready to go at any given point. And that's something that I wanted to heal. That's something that I needed to heal from, that I needed to, learn how to let go and set down.
Who would have thought DoorDash would be helping with that, right?
Right. And so I also needed to learn how to communicate to you, like another part of this dynamic that was important to me was, I had awareness of something that is activating my nervous system. And I want to be able to speak to it and have somebody hear it and validate it, and then alter their behavior based off of something that is for me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like,
your safety matters. And
yeah.
people get to
And-
make an adjustment for you.
Yeah.
Like,
That's one of
absolutely.
those things that you and I have been trying to like really actively heal together. The whole thing of like, my needs matter.
Yes.
And having somebody
They
be like,
matter
yes.
so much.
And this is an easy solution.
Yeah.
If this thing causes you anxiety or fear or upsets you, we can fix it immediately. You tell me where you'd like us to park, and we'll just go park there. So great. I knew you would respond that way. You were very loving and very kind. But then it also becomes like this conversation that we started having, because the what triggered it was you parked in a location that, like, if I was going to pick a parking, like one being the safest location, which would be like in an enclosed garage that had a security gate out front, right? Like this
And
is the
cameras everywhere.
right. This is the mindset of a police officer, right? So if I'm going to park my vehicle somewhere that's like super, super safe, that would be a 1, and it would be like a super safe place, right? And then like a 10 would be like the most unsafe place ever, right? You chose to park in like an 8-ish area.
Wow.
Where it just was so much was going on. There was no easy exit. I couldn't see threats coming from any direction. It was just like this horrendous location for my nervous system in that moment. And then I showed you across the street where I like to park and explained to you why. And then we just had this fun conversation.
And then we
about-
went there.
Yeah.
We went
we moved
we
the
parked
vehicle.
to your spot. I'm like, yeah, we can
parked in the
totally do
spot,
that.
right?
You can tell me where to park
So let's
in these moments.
in these moments.
Yeah.
Yes, very much in these moments
Yeah.
is the important
If
part.
you're like, if
It's
you don't,
not-
if you're just like, park there, woman.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna go for a ride.
Yeah, super
You're
good
like,
to
I don't
clarify
feel
that. Sometimes we
comfortable, I
have
don't
these
feel safe,
conversations
and-
that are kind of wonky like this,
Yeah.
where it definitely feels like I'm telling you what to do as the man, right? And there's such
That's
a
not
stigma attached to women driving and the masculine control and all of these kind of different things. And so I'm really great. I know that's not what it is, but somebody listening from the outside might be like, this just sounds like her, this, you know, this poor lady's husband's telling her where to park everywhere.
then I would say, like, then start the episode over and listen again, because that's clearly not the case. So, yeah.
So we shifted and we go park in this other spot. And then we start having this conversation, because initially it's coming through the lens of, you know, I'm thinking about it from the time as a police officer. And that's kind of what's popping up for me. But then to hear you explain, so you're parked over, basically you're like in a parking lot where you've got 3 vehicles, one on each side and one behind you. And then you've got people walking, you've got cars moving in multiple directions. It's a chaotic location. How would you describe where you chose to
Well,
to
I
park?
don't think we're done with yours. Like,
I know,
you
but-
have to.
Because we have to explain what happened. And so I want people to really understand where we were parking, because
Okay.
that's part of the story.
Okay,
so
so
your
you want me to tell
location-
this part first? My part?
Sorry, go ahead. Catch us up with your version up to this
Well,
point.
I didn't think we didn't go over this until you were like, till we got to where you wanted me to park. Okay, so I didn't even have awareness that it was a thing for me,
Right.
until you had us parked where you felt good, and then you were explaining why, and it was it was a counter to what
Right.
I was feeling, and so I realized, oh, I park the way I park for this reason, but I had no awareness that was, and of course you're going to have influence on where you park. Of course there's going to be
There's
a
going to be
reason,
some subconscious reason
but
why,
it
right?
was so like, I had no idea of it until we started looking at it, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I was feeling very like, so we started by you saying like how great your parking spot was. Like, you're like, look, you have
the best
to
parking spot.
well, you were telling first it was your space. You're like, look, I can see, you know, I have this open, I have these exits, is
so,
what
like,
you thought. So tell
yours-
yours. And then I was like,
So Stephanie's spot is in a parking lot with a lot of people around.
yeah, I'll tell mine. You
And
got to tell yours
the-
first.
The spot that I feel
Show me
safe
yours,
at,
and then I'll show you mine.
it's in a parking lot, but it's in the very back row of the parking lot, so that you're backing up against a cement wall, and you can see 180 degrees in front of you. And what you can't see behind you is basically just a cement wall. So yes, there's the ability of people to like jump down from said cement wall above, which is, 8 feet or something like that. So it just really minimizes what's behind you. So I
A
don't
car
have
could
to.
have went off and
Correct. There's a plane could have crashed from above. So we were definitely not safe at all. But that's my thought process is I can eliminate at least what's behind me to the best of my ability. And then I can see everything that's in front of me. So I can look left, right, and I can see what's coming. And Stephanie's like, you're standing out. Like,
well, yeah. So that was how you were comfortable. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, everywhere, like, I have to go around this way to get out. I didn't feel like I had easy exits, and I felt like I was completely exposed. Like, anybody who would drive through that normally wouldn't see would be
Right.
like, I see that car that's over there by
Car
itself.
stands out.
That car stands out. So, and where I was parked, which was,
in the
made
middle of a
sense.
parking lot.
I was in the middle of a parking lot, and I felt like I had outs everywhere. I pull all the way through, so I don't have to back out of the stall. I can just pull out of the stall. I hate backing out. I like
Right.
to be able just to, even if I go against the flow, I like to be able to pull right out of the stall forward.
Yeah.
And I could like pull out.
Put it back
But
in.
I
could
was
do all
just
these
like,
things.
I was blended. There was cars all
Yes.
over. I was on the side of a bus where I just felt like I had so much around me that you couldn't see me.
Right.
And I was like, that's
That's
better.
the key
And
thing.
then
Like, when you
we
started-
were out, I'm like, I'm exposed.
Yeah. When you said that, you felt like you blended in, like
Yeah.
that basically people couldn't see you, that then suddenly triggered. And I'm like, oh, we're talking about something deeper here, because there's something about your nervous system, right? That is subconsciously being like, this is how we feel most safe, is when we blend in and can't be seen. And for me, I feel most safe when I separate myself from everything and stand off to the side and be able to watch everything. It was really interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And all the different reasons why that was kind of like, because I think we have
both
similar...
feel alone in that space too. You like to be alone, but I feel like I am alone in that space.
Yeah.
Like I'm invisible.
Yeah.
It's
and I felt invisible where we parked.
I was like, sort up. Like, here, everybody, beacon. It's so weird.
It's very strange. And it's just all about our perspective based off of our lived experience of what created this trauma response and the ability to kind of protect ourselves and how we best did that.
Right.
I think it's fascinating. Have you sat with it? Because I mean, saying I think it's fascinating. I mean, we're just talking about parking spots for hell's sakes, but have you sat and thought about even more why that is your preferred method? Not necessarily about parking, but about surviving?
I haven't thought about why. Obviously, I have a lot of reasons of why. But what I started actually thinking about, because this is yesterday? Was this yesterday? I feel like it was yesterday.
I think it was less than 12 hours ago.
So I haven't had a ton of time. But what it sparked...
You don't have a thesis done on it yet?
Almost. I'm on the final draft. It made me start to question and get curious about how often and how prominent is this? How often do I behave like this? How often is this habit and pattern being recreated? And I even was like, oh my gosh, like we've downsized immensely. Obviously, we've talked about that, like moving across country, but all this
downsized
stuff,
house, property stuff.
And I'm like, how much was that in my space? Was I like hiding in a room? Was I hiding in a house? Like stuff, like keeping. And now I do like open, but if we're in public, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious about, I can see all the ways that it did play out in deeper levels, but I'm like, how many subconscious ways is this still that I'm like, please just don't see me. Like, let me blend in with the crowd. I don't want to be a part of the crowd. It's not like, oh, let's all be a part here. I just want to like disappear in the crowd and be safe, because nobody sees you. You're safe. When they see you, you are fucked.
See, that's so interesting because it's like...
I'm so fidgety. I'm so nervous. This is like striking all the anxiety. I'm over here just like,
Why do you think that is?
Why? I think you need to take the hot seat off of me. And now you answer. Why do you need to like be so removed that you're not even blending in the crowd? You're not even participating in the crowd. Have you thought about it, Craig?
Have you thought about it, Craig?
I just hit the wrong. What happened?
Dun, dun, dun.
There was a camera glitch. There.
Running it through the lens of survival, right? And the only reason that's kind of like the go-to place that we went with it. I think sometimes they're like, these people always go to the extreme. Like, we're always like, this is about life or death.
Yeah,
we're
when
in
you have a trauma brain, that's where it goes sometimes.
That's very true.
Right?
That's very true. When you do have complex trauma, typically it's about life or death situations.
That's what it feels like. So
and
you're
something
right.
as simple as a parking spot can feel like a life or death situation.
Which is...
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's sad.
It is sad.
Yeah, that's what complex trauma is. And it's funny to joke about as a survival coping mechanism. Anyways, when I run it through that lens of, okay, this has to do with my survival, because obviously that's how I thought when I was a police officer. Everything that I did was...
Yeah, but when did it start before that?
It did start before that. I'm just talking about the process that took me through this, right?
Okay.
Thank you for your little sass, though. Like, go ahead and switch back to your camera and do it again, because I want you to see. Because
what
you were
did I do?
like your little. And what about happened before that?
I'm sorry for the sass. I definitely
frass.
wasn't intending sass. I was taking a layer of, we'll look at this one because of police officer, but it didn't start there. So I was encouraging deeper.
Stephanie, tell me more. How does that make you feel? Just joking. These are hard things to talk through.
I know, you're doing a really good job.
So we're going to have to joke a little bit about it. And again, it's funny because we're literally talking about parking.
Right.
But looking at it again through survival and recognizing, okay, when I was a cop, obviously I did it for all those cop-minded reasons. And the truth is, I was just really good at that because I was doing it long before I was a cop. I was always looking at standing on the outside of things with my back against a wall so that I can see what's coming. I mean, that's how I navigated life and participated in life, where, like, if I went to a party, you know, at somebody's house as a teenager, hanging out with people, I wasn't in the middle of everything. I would always immediately kind of hi, and then find some corner to position myself so that I could view what was happening in front of me and choose how and, you know, ways that I was going to interact with the world around me. And that's just how I've moved through life. And I think it's 100% from childhood and not feeling safe, you know, in an environment where I should probably have felt safe, meaning like home.
Yeah.
So that's what I think it is for me. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense.
Like if you think about that in regards to how you know me and our experiences together, and I'm sure you can see that play out in a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah.
And now granted, the beginning of I mean, you knew me as a cop first, so you haven't had the privilege of, I don't know, have you seen me? You probably have, obviously. Like, what's the difference in your mind? Because you don't have Craig before he was a police officer.
No.
So you don't get to see the copified version.
Uncopified? No, I don't. But I did see that progressively shift enough that I was surprised that it was an issue on where we parked, that it was triggering that. I turned that part off. I used to have to be aware of more things like where we parked, where we went to eat, where we were going to sit. You know, it was very much a waiting, you know, you had your spaces where you sat.
Yeah.
And then
back when I was a police officer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, even like moving around in a store, if all of a sudden, you know, there was very much all of these ways that I knew how to respond and behave based off of how you were responding and how your body moved. You didn't even need to communicate it anymore of like, this is what I need you to do. It was just like done. And so that was such a way that when it started shifting and going away, it took a while, but then I quit looking for these things, right? And so then all of a sudden I need to park here to feel safe, need to go back over here. And it was just kind of, it threw me. I felt bad that I didn't notice, but it like also threw me and like let me know. I said this earlier too. I'm like, I can see where you're at right now. I can see what you're working on. I can see where your activation level is because these things are popping back up. And I'm not saying they haven't been here, but they weren't deciding your behaviors. They weren't deciding where you parked. They weren't deciding where you sat. You know, very much it was, even if you were having that inside that you had to work with, it wasn't controlling your outside anymore. You had a balance in that. And so now that it's coming up, it's kind of showing me that, you know, you're really working through some stuff. And then it's so easy to be like, yeah, I'll park wherever you want. You want to work on some stuff? It's fine. Let's sit wherever you want, park wherever you want. It's such an easy thing to give you that space. So while you're processing and working on everything, you don't have to deal with that. You know, does that kind of...
That makes so much sense. And that's so beautiful. Like, I'm so grateful that you are willing to do that. And I like the distinction that you just made there where you know almost like what version of Craig you're dealing with, right? Sometimes we reference it in regards to like, oh, it was apparent that I was dealing with the 5-year-old version of Craig or the, 7-year-old version of Stephanie. And then suddenly you're running everything through that filter and addressing everything as through that lens, right? Because you're suddenly, I don't want to activate and trigger and we do that for each other, but to have awareness that you're like, oh, I'm dealing with 33-year-old Craig or whatever, right? He's processing through some of that stuff right now. So I'm going to give him a lot more grace and understanding. That's really awesome. It's really beautiful.
Really awesome.
I was going to also this is not so awesome because you were
Uh-oh.
talking about that time period where basically you would move around based off of what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you were referring to it as the time period when I was a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And those decisions that I'm making about, where we're sitting, where we're parking, what we're doing when we're out in public are all, again, based off of survival, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about the perspective. I'm literally just moving through life as a police officer minded person where I'm thinking about survival at all times, right? Safety of myself and the people around me. And now when I'm with you or with our kids or with our family, that's my sole priority is the safety of you guys. That's the thought process at the time. That's the experience at the time. That's kind of how you and I are navigating that moment. And it's not one moment, right? But that phase of our life where I'm moving through with that mindset and you're moving through with it's just, we have to, basically accommodate this guy and what he's going through. And I thought about how that once you made the correlation and connection in some regards, because you have basically lived around men your whole life. What's her name? Jess said it on the episode a few weeks ago where she was tired of accommodating men's emotions or basically altering her behavior based off of, and the whole idea that you had to follow me around depending upon my actions, choices, decisions, my mood, and then alter your behavior accordingly. And it's you didn't even have to be told what to do. You could just shift suddenly based off of, you knew how to do that long before me.
Long before you.
Right. That's
That was
fucking early coping mechanism.
Right?
And it's sad that played out in our relationship in that way. And it's also sad because
chances are you've heard us talk about merino wool because we love it and you're going to hear us talk about it again. We decided it was really important to us to start bringing in and wearing natural fibers that were good for our health. Woolly Clothing offers 100% merino wool, natural fabric, which is a healthier choice compared to the other synthetics that are often made with plastics. I've been wearing their underwear, their athletic tees, their shirts, and I stole Craig's pants because those are my favorite things to sleep in. Don't worry, he went and got himself his own pair. They're durable, they have tons of versatile styles, and it also really helps when you're trying to wick away all that moisture that they're also odor resistant. They're easy to take care of and also eco-friendly. So head over to stephandcraig.co right now, click on the Woolly link and enter the promo code Steph and Craig and get 15% off of your order. If you're ready for natural fibers that feel good on your skin, help regulate your temperature, keep you dry, don't stink, and on top of all of that, look really good. Go pick yourself up some clothes from Woolly now. How long have you been using those same non-stick pans that are all scratched up and scraped, not cooking well, and putting off those flecks of that non-scratch surface into your food? It's terrible for you. Do you still have those? We started getting serious about not only the food that we were putting in our bodies, but what we were cooking that food on. So we switched to American-made stainless steel cookware by Heritage Still. Heritage Still is a family-owned business located right here in Tennessee. They have been building great stainless steel clad cookware for over 40 years. They're versatile for all cooktops. They're oven safe, easy to clean, and they have a lifetime warranty. We switched out all our pans, and I am so glad we did. I love cooking with our Heritage Still pans, and I love the fact that when I'm cooking for my kids, my family, I have the peace of mind to know that it's safe for them to eat the food that I'm making. Head over to stephandcraig.co and click on the Heritage Still link and make sure you enter promo code Steph and Craig to save 10% on your order. Start cooking healthier for you and your family today.
it also has played out in our relationship because I've been the jerky asshole guy that is basically, you know, having all the air sucked out of the room because of the emotions that I'm feeling in everybody's face, you
Right.
know. It's so frustrating.
You're completely on your own on that one too, because I personally have never sucked air out of the room from big emotions. So like you are the only one carrying that.
That is just a me thing. You're right. That's a Craig thing.
Happens.
We actually call it a Craig thing.
We call it
when we see it on TV, we're like, that's a Craig thing.
There we go. So like, that's like, there's the push and pull of that. You know, there's emotions. The fact is, yeah, I didn't know how to do that long before. And it was easy with you because it also was like, I wasn't afraid of you. It was like, that was, you know, it just felt different. You know, it did felt, and yes, it has been, you know, you have a grumpy move through stores that
Everybody knows.
do not like.
Yeah.
I do not like. And
a grumpy move through stores. That's a dad energy right there. Oh shit, he's got his grumpy move through store energy on, everybody.
But you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
You know, you're definitely not alone in that. There's so much here. And like what I'm seeing more at this moment is just like, it's not just you don't feel safe. What I don't think, my interpretation, right? I could be way fucking off.
Okay, interpretation of my.
But it is that like, you're not feeling safe. You're assessing threats, and you're also feeling like, what I perceive it is, things are out of your control. You're assessing threats and trying to not only keep you safe, but your family safe. So you're in an activation that is like, I don't know what else to do, but to be like ready, putting, you know, behind you and being like, I'm paying attention and I'm ready.
Are you talking about kind of like current, where I'm at currently in life and what I'm facing and dealing with? That's kind of what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And so that's why this coping mechanism behavior is kind of popping up in this way.
Yeah. It tends to surface more when it's more than you're not feeling safe, when it's you not feeling. So, I mean, it'll come up. It'll definitely come up, and you are enough of a reason. But what I notice is it doesn't until you feel like you don't, like things, like you have to really be on to protect those around you.
Yeah.
And then it seems to be a lot louder where you're like, this is how we're doing things.
Oh, that's
this is
interesting.
where we're parking.
Yeah. If I'm like, if we are in an experience where your safety is in danger, then I turn it back on.
You turn it back. Or the kids.
Or the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Then your demeanor changes very quickly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I guess it makes a lot of sense that at this, you know, where we're at in life right now and what we're navigating and going through, kind of like the overarching theme or energy would be very similar, where I would feel that level of activation, where I need to be that on because our survival is at risk right now. That's interesting.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
As I know that when that comes on, you being in control is what feels the best.
Yes.
You making the choices, you making the decisions, you like.
Yeah, I got to be in control.
You got to be in control. My question is, what part of sharing some of that responsibility would feel safe for you? I think you have to be in control because you feel like it's all up to you. Like that you have to be the only one protecting. But what if you're not the only one protecting? Like at what point can you not have to have your back up against a wall, but have your back with somebody that has your back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really, really great question. Yeah. And I like that you bring awareness to it, and I like that you articulate it in that way. See, this is the beautiful thing about why I really love that you and I heal together and know each other well enough, because you know how to say things to me that I will hear in a way that will trigger things inside of me that I am working on or looking at, or do you know what I mean? You're really beautiful in that way. It's a real gift that you have. And so that statement of like not having to stand with my back up against a wall, but being able to stand with my back up against somebody else, somebody having my back. And then that being the thing that I can, rely upon. And the awareness of you know, it's not something that I feel like I've had awareness of ever really being able to experience. And I think about our relationship and maybe finally being at a place in our relationship where I feel like you actually have my back. And that you're going to be there no matter what. And that's something that I don't think I've experienced yet with anybody, kind of in any relationship. So I'm going to get real curious about what that would feel like.
Yeah.
And what that would look like. And I'm trying, you know, I can see it now and see how I'm trying to, and I know that you can also, because I'm so fearful right now, this feels really vulnerable. I'm so afraid that you're hearing that I don't like believe in you, that I don't think you're capable, like, you know, I trust you, like I believe in you, like I feel safe with you, all of these things.
Yeah, this isn't about me, babe.
Yeah. And, but it's like I said, it's just an interesting recognition or realization that I don't know if I've experienced that to be able to let that part of my guard down because I knew that the person that was standing behind me got it, like they've got it. So, and I feel that way about you. Like I feel that way about you 100%, you know, where we're navigating life and going through all these things and we've had enough lived experience of fun roller coaster shit shows that, you know, the proof's in the pudding that when I turn around, you're there. And I'm grateful for that. And it's scary.
It's so scary.
Because that's the truth, I think, of what the big picture is. And then I also think that I might not have had awareness of this thing cognitively, meaning, oh, I've never really felt safe with anybody, right? So I've always had to keep my back up against a wall. But I think the reality is the last few years of our relationship, I've been experiencing what it feels like to have you supporting me, like to have you having my back. I just didn't have awareness of it. So I think in moments I'm still like, I'm glad that we've brought awareness to it so that I get to start feeling it and recognizing it and looking at it. But I do also think that it's like anything else where there's a part of me that didn't have it. And when that part gets triggered and sparked and needs to get some healing done, you know, then it might manifest a little bit more prominently.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a wound of just never feeling, you know, safe and supported by anyone.
Right.
Yeah, having to do everything alone.
And that's going to take a lot of time. Because
it feels like a big one.
Well, it's not just being like, oh, you're safe now. You can let that guard down and then stepping to like, no, when that part has been shown time and time and time and time and time again to where it learned very clearly that it had to put its back up against the wall to be safe, where it learned that it had to blend in and stay under the radar to be safe. It's not going to take somebody just telling you and you just have to practice. It's going to take like that awareness and seeing where it is showing up, allowing you the space to put your back up against a wall, allowing you the space to kind of dictate what feels okay for you, what feels safe. So when you're ready, you can allow a little bit of your space out, maybe allow a shoulder out, allow a little bit of this, and have that new reinforcement shown. Like you can't just, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. It's going to take time. I got time. I got time. And there's no rush. You get to feel your way through it. Otherwise, you're just going to put up another wall and expose your back. You know, it's not going to feel safe at all.
You know, because there's a part of these conversations that you and I get into that they're so metaphoric, right? We're constantly
it
using.
makes sense to us.
It does, and I think it's a beautiful way to
Right.
communicate. And I know that we're not the only ones that it makes sense to. I know that a lot of people use metaphor, especially in the space of healing and like how do we contextualize
We're
this?
talking about literal and metaphorical walls.
It's this interesting dynamic that we love. I love it, right? I know you love it too, but when you apply this metaphor, this idea of like, do you feel like somebody has your back?
Yeah.
Like 100%. Do you know what I mean? Like no matter what. And then I know I've gone through periods of my life because I'm thinking about when I was a cop, right? And during that time period, I'm like, oh yeah, 100%, right? I could list off the guys. That wasn't a super long list, but there was a handful of guys, and where I'm talking like 100% when it really counted, when you really need somebody back there, do you have anybody? And I would have said yes. And I think it would have been applicable for the most part. Do you know what I mean? Like everything's always so literal in these moments for me. Right. You have this too. We've been talking about this lately. I'm not alone in this. You do this too.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm constantly being like, it's both of us. It's not just me. You're also weird and crazy like I am.
We'll go back to our codependent episodes.
Oh, gosh.
I am weird. I have it too.
What was I saying? What was I joking about?
A handful of guys that you knew
Yeah.
you could.
Right. And then... But the truth of it is, like, if I really thought about it, when I'm like now, as we're speaking about it, it's not just like in a life or death situation. If I'm in a gunfight, right?
Right.
It's all the different aspects of life, and the deeper aspects of life. Where do I feel safe to be seen completely?
Yeah.
Do I feel safe to be myself completely? Also, do I feel like even when I'm going through the darkest moments in my life, does somebody have my back? Is somebody there to pick up things when I drop them? Like when I can't carry things anymore, who am I going to trust to pick all of it up and carry it and carry me, right? Like that's kind of this whole metaphorical way of me, or the way that I'm thinking of it now. And it's like, I just haven't had that experience in life yet.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that I'm starting to get it. And I'm really grateful that I've met somebody that has, stuck around long enough to hopefully trust me as well to hold that space for her. Because I think I'm not alone here. I think you have this thing too, where you probably haven't had a lot of experience with people having your back.
Yeah.
Or feeling like people have your back. All the people that we felt like were supposed to have our back, we turned around and they weren't there. Yeah. Right? And now it's like I turn around and you're there. Every time I turn around, you're there.
Every time. She's always there.
But that feels so good.
Yeah.
That feels so good. What do you think? What's this bringing up in you?
I definitely have it too, babe. I definitely have it too. And it's really like if I can't, when things are hard and I'm afraid, if I can't blend, then I need to disappear. If I can't become invisible, then I have to remove myself. And it is really, really hard to allow myself to be seen in those moments. Like I want to retreat and recover like all on my own. And to try and do it while you're witnessing is like the big stuff. There's the moments where I lean on you, but it's the part where it's the healing, the licking my wounds. I have to be alone for that. It is so terrifying. It's like almost like shame for having a wound. Like I don't even want you to see it because then I'm vulnerable, I'm exposed. And even though I know you don't do that, you don't expose me and hurt me, like to stand off in the corner is like that's danger because they get you when you're alone, it's like it's when you're alone that things happen. So it's completely by myself, not alone with somebody. Alone with somebody is terrifying. Completely by myself or invisible by there being too many people. So to trust that I can be like, here's this, here's this, here's this. When I'm in it, like I can show you scars all day long. Like I can be like, you know, healed that one, healed that one, healed that one, you know, but for you to see the like infected wound is what it feels like it's terrifying. And so it's really, really, really hard. I can show it to you when it's on the healing process because then I'm okay. Because, you know, I'm healing it, I'm doing, but just to be
sitting in it.
Just to be sitting in it and being like, I don't know what it's doing. It's getting infected right now. And oh my gosh, that's so scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary. And when I feel it's not me, when I feel like it's now other people, then I go into this go mode of protection. Like I go into this go, my feelings turn off, and it's just checking things off a list. It's just going. And it's, if I feel, then I can't deal. Right. So
Okay.
it's like I have to turn it off so that I can go. So that's, I'm trying to figure out how I would explain it.
I think you just did. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
I don't know how
me.
to let anybody else have a say in things.
Oh, 100%.
It's like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't
have
trust
to be in 100%
you.
control.
I'm going to quiz you. I'm going to ask questions. I need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
I need a literal. I'm writing. I'm taking notes. I'm like, everything has to be. And to be like, okay, I have to trust that other people can show up.
Right.
I have to trust that other people aren't actually trying to kill everybody. I have to trust that, you know, they are like their best intentions are coming forward. I have to trust that other people's ways of doing things are going to be good and safe. And it doesn't have to be my way when, you know, I get very tunnel focused, and it's like, if I feel like somebody's at risk, then like, nobody is safe. So it's that part of trying to trust and allow that out to share. And to know that like you might have it too, you know?
Yeah.
Like you got this. And it's really, really hard.
It's so hard.
It's really, really hard.
I think at the end of the day, what we're talking about is, it's like to be seen by somebody, to trust somebody, to truly trust somebody, you know, with your heart, with love. It's just this immense, vulnerable. Yeah. You know, here's the most precious thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you hold it. You know, it's the hardest thing to do.
I get that way with you in regards to you too. When I feel like you're not showing up for yourself.
Yeah, you get very defensive.
Then I get really, and like try to control you,
you
and
do.
like you didn't make this choice and this choice and this choice because you're not taking care of you.
I love it. I love it when you do it.
And then it only thing that does is make you like,
It's drive me crazy.
I was thinking about doing this, but not now.
Girl, have you drank 3 glasses of water today?
Right?
I was going to.
Right. But now, yeah, it's really hard. So just to like let people take care of themselves. But also that was my, you know, it was up to me. Things were, you know, I got trained,
Hey,
you got trained.
This is the coping mechanisms that we had to implement in order to survive our lives, you know, and now we're getting the opportunity to heal those wounds.
So
now we get to lean back into each other and trust that the other person is going to be there.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing. And we're still going to park in certain locations when we DoorDash.
Right? If the person
if we
who
need to on that day, right?
isn't feeling safe, they get to say what's going to be safe.
Yeah.
And if neither of us are feeling safe, maybe we don't go door dashing that day. Maybe we're like, let's fucking go home. We're going home.
We talk about that all the time, though. It's like not necessarily whoever gets activated first, but it's like, oh yeah, if this is you're activated and we can totally easily adjust for this, right? And then if we're both activated, let's go home.
Let's go home.
Maybe we just don't get out of bed today.
Right?
We're both too activated.
Somebody else will take Sally their pizza.
Yeah.
Like, it's
we don't
fine.
have to worry about it.
We don't have to be out here.
Yeah. This was fun. This is a good episode. It's not just about parking.
It's not just, it's never, it's
Right.
never just,
It's
it's,
never
like,
just
it's
about
like, it's
parking.
never just about dishes.
Right.
It's not just about parking.
Got to start
There's
peeling those
always
layers back,
more.
folks. Onion layers, peeling them back. We have been eating a lot of onions lately.
We have been.
Maybe
Onions
that's,
are yummy.
you are what you eat.
Well, on next episode.
That's oh, okay. Anyways, this has been a wonderful episode. Come follow us.
Yeah.
Go to Steph and Craig. What's our website?
It's stephandcraig.co.
.co. Go check us out there and come subscribe to the podcast everywhere.
And expect the best.
Plan for the greatest. I love you.
We got a wild ride. Wait and see, you and me. We were meant to be.
We want to make something perfectly clear. This podcast is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a substitute for professional advice. We're sharing with you our own personal experiences and insights, things we have found to be helpful on our healing journey. But we are not licensed therapists. If you need help, it's important to seek out a qualified professional. Remember, we believe that we all do better when we heal together. See you soon.